No words left to say, embracing silence, healing, and the journey of becoming by Iyabo Bello. Narrated by Julia. Introduction. The night of silence. There are moments in life when words fail us, when prayers feel heavy, voices falter, and even hope seems muted. This book is about those moments, about the quiet spaces where the heart grows tired, yet life keeps moving, about the stillness where clarity, strength, and resilience quietly emerge. Silence is not surrender, it is sacred. It is the space between what was and what is becoming. It is the pause before the breakthrough, the breath before the next step, the sacred room where your soul speaks even when words cannot. Through these pages, I invite you on a journey of becoming, a journey that honors the pauses, embraces the quiet, and trusts the process of growth and transformation. This is a book for the tired, the questioning, the silent, but also for the resilient, the reflective, and the courageous. It is for anyone learning that stillness does not mean weakness, and silence does not mean absence. Together, we will explore how to listen when words fail, rest when the world demands action, trust in the unfolding of your life, celebrate small victories and quiet courage. Step fully into the journey of becoming, one sacred pause at a time. Tonight, we begin. Chapter 1. When Silence Speaks. It was nearly midnight, 11:56 p.m. to be exact. I was in my living room, a space I knew as well as my own breath. Yet that night, it felt different. I wasn't in my usual chair, the one where I always sit, where I've prayed, cried, dreamed, and planned. Instead, I chose another one, just a little to the side. A small shift, almost insignificant. But that one choice stirred something inside me. Have you ever had those moments when everything around you looks ordinary, yet something in you feels off, like you're still functioning, still ticking boxes, still showing up, but beneath it all, there's a quiet you can't quite name. A silence that feels heavier than noise. That was me that night. I had promised myself an early rest. 8:30 p.m., that was the plan. A bedtime gift to my tired body, a ritual of peace. But instead, I found myself listening to an audiobook. Think big, act bigger, upgrade your mind to a giant mindset. The words were bold. They carried weight. Giant mindset. The kind of reminder I usually thrive on. But I didn't leap up, fired with determination. I didn't grab a notebook and begin sketching ideas. I didn't whisper affirmations to myself. I just sat, still, and then, almost without thought, my hand reached for the remote. I switched on the TV and scrolled until I stumbled on a movie I had started weeks earlier but never finished. Strive. It felt like it had been waiting for me. Like the story knew this was the exact night I would need it. The sound of no words as the story unfolded. I found myself pulled into the world of Kalania, young girl carrying a full-sized dream in a community that didn't know what to do with such ambition. Her peers whispered limitation. Her environment echoed survival. Even her own mother, bent beneath grief and responsibility, couldn't see Yale as an option for her child. Kalani's world was bleeding. Her brother was gone, her family broken, and yet she held on to that dream. Against every voice that told her no, she dared to choose more. And as I watched her struggle, her fight, her choosing, I felt something inside me grow quiet. Not the kind of quiet that brings peace. The kind of quiet that comes when you've said everything, prayed everything, tried everything, and there are simply no words left. I couldn't cry, I couldn't pray, I couldn't explain what was happening in me. I just sat there in that unfamiliar chair, listening to a sermon in the background, holding the weight of a silence I didn't know how to carry. What silence? really means we're taught to equate silence with emptiness. If you're not speaking, not moving, not producing, then you're failing, falling behind, wasting time. But here's what I'm learning. Silence is not always surrender. Silence can be sacred. Silence is the pause between your last word and your next breakthrough. Silence is the waiting room of clarity. Silence is where your soul whispers what your lips cannot yet say. When you find yourself in that space, the space where you have no words left, don't despise it. It is not the end, it is the beginning. The beginning hidden in the blankness that night. My silence wasn't a void. It was a seed. I thought I was sitting in stillness, doing nothing. But beneath the surface, something was happening. A realignment, a quiet shift, a seed of clarity that would take root in time. And maybe that's where you are too. Maybe you're in a season where you can't explain what's going on inside you. You can't pray the way you used to. You don't have the energy for grand plans or bold declarations. You're not broken, you're just blank. And blankness is not failure. Blankness is space. Space for God to whisper. Space for healing to begin. Space for strength to grow in silence. A gentle reassurance. So if you are reading this, and you recognize yourself here, if your words have run dry, if your prayers feel stuck in your throat, if your heart is weary of asking the same questions, here me, this silence is not the end of your story. This silence is the beginning of something new. You are not lost. You are not failing. You are not empty. You are simply in your pause. And the pause is holy. Reflection for the reader. Think back to a time when you felt wordless. What did that silence feel like to you? Could it be that the pause you're in right now is preparing you for your next chapter? What if your silence isn't a sign of weakness, but an invitation to listen differently? Whisper to yourself tonight, I am not empty, I am becoming. My silence is not the end, it is my beginning. Chapter 2, The Ache of the Strong Strength, is often mistaken for invincibility. We see a woman walking into a room with her head held high, with grace, with composure, and we assume she has no burdens. We see a man smiling, leading, providing, and we assume he is never tired. But the truth is, strength often hides the deepest ache. It is quiet, unseen, and carried alone. That night, watching Kaloni's mother in Strive, I understood something I've felt my whole life. The strongest people often hurt the most. The weight they carry. Think of the women who work 3 jobs while their children sleep. Exhausted, but safe. The men who sacrifice their own dreams so their families can thrive. The friends who always show up for everyone, even when their own cup is empty. I see them, I have been them. We are expected to pour and pour, even when the well is dry, to hold our families, our communities, our teams, our dreams, our fears all at the same time, and do it with grace. It's a quiet suffering, a constant balancing act, and no one tells you it's okay to rest, because the world celebrates visible victories, loud successes, dramatic breakthroughs. The ache of the strong, however, is subtle, unnoticed, and yet it shapes us profoundly. When being strong feels like a burden, there are days when the weight of being strong makes you want to disappear. When you are asked to carry burdens that feel unfair, relentless, too heavy for one person. When you haven't slept in weeks, and yet someone looks at you and says, "You're fine, you're strong." There is pain in that compliment, because it ignores the fact that you've been carrying quietly for so long, because it ignores the truth that strength can be exhausting, lonely, and misunderstood. And maybe that is what I saw reflected in Kalani's mother, the quiet despair beneath the warrior. The woman who hadn't been asked, "Are you okay?" in years. The woman who held grief, bills, and responsibility on her shoulders like armor. Recognizing the ache in yourself, have you felt this ache? Perhaps you are the one everyone leans on, the one who always finds solutions, the one who never complains, who hides tears, who works while heartbroken, the one who keeps showing up, even when your body whispers rest, your heart whispers enough, and your mind whispers I can't. This is your reminder. You are allowed to acknowledge it. You are allowed to feel the ache. You are allowed to cry. You are allowed to say, I am tired. Strength does not mean pretending you are invulnerable. Strength means showing up anyway, and sometimes it includes showing up honestly with your ache. The power hidden in pain, here's the secret. The ache you carry is not wasted. The quiet struggles, the sleepless nights, the moments of doubt, they are shaping you. They are teaching you resilience, empathy, patience, and grace. They are teaching you to value rest as much as action, to honor your emotions as much as your goals. They are preparing you for the life you are meant to lead. Strength without awareness can become brittle. Strength paired with honesty and self-compassion becomes unshakable. Reflection for the reader: where do you feel the weight of expectation in your life? Have you allowed yourself to acknowledge your own fatigue and grief? How might your life change if you recognized your ache as part of your strength? Whisper to yourself tonight, my strength is real, but it is not endless. My ache is valid, and it is shaping me. I am allowed to pause. I am allowed to rest. I am allowed to heal. Chapter 3. The weight of waiting. Waiting is one of life's most underrated burdens. It doesn't come with fanfare or applause. It doesn't announce itself with clarity or reason. It simply arrives, quietly, and asks you to endure. We wait for healing. We wait for opportunities. We wait for clarity. We wait for doors to open that seem sealed shut. We wait for ourselves to feel ready. And often, waiting feels like nothing is happening, like time is mocking us, like our hearts are being tested. In silence, the hidden power in pause. But what if waiting isn't empty? What if waiting is not a punishment, but a preparation? The moments we feel stuck, the days that drag, the nights that stretch endlessly, these are the spaces where we grow. Unseen, they are shaping our character, teaching patience, and refining our resilience. Waiting is not a void. It is fertile soil. And though it may feel heavy, it is where strength takes root. Lessons from the waiting room. When I think back to moments of waiting in my own life, I see them clearly now. Waiting to launch a business I didn't know if I could sustain. Waiting for clarity when every path seemed blocked. Waiting for rest when the world demanded I keep moving. In those moments, it felt like nothing was happening. I felt impatient, frustrated, even hopeless. But looking back, I realize all that waiting was teaching me to trust the process, to honor my pace, to understand that life does not always move according to our timelines, the waiting that shapes. Sometimes, waiting is about more than patience. It is about becoming. It is about learning to hold space for yourself while the world keeps turning. It is about showing up daily, even when the outcomes are invisible. It is about quiet work on your inner self, the growth that will not be seen, but will transform everything you do later. The weight of waiting is heavy, yes, but it is also sacred. It is the preparation room for breakthroughs. When waiting feels endless, there will be days when you ask, how long will this last? Will this ever change? Am I doing something wrong? And here is what I want you to hear. Waiting is not a reflection of failure. It is not a measure of your worth. It is not the world telling you that you are behind. It is life's way of saying, prepare, grow, learn, align. Every moment of stillness, every silent struggle, every unanswered question, they are all shaping the story you will one day tell. Reflection. For the reader, what are you currently waiting for? Can you imagine that this waiting is a season of growth rather than a delay? How might you honor your present while trusting that change is coming? Whisper to yourself tonight, I am in the waiting, and it is not wasted. I am growing, even in silence. I trust the timing of my life. I am becoming exactly who I am meant to be. Chapter 4. The Myth of Arrival. We spend so much of our lives chasing arrival. The perfect job, the perfect business, the perfect body, the perfect life. We map out our milestones, mark our calendars, and measure our worth by whether we've arrived. But here's the truth most of us don't see. Arrival is a myth. Life is not a series of endpoints. It is a continuous journey of becoming. Every finish line is really a new starting line. Every victory opens the door to the next challenge. Every dream achieved is the foundation for the next dream. And that's not discouraging, it's liberating. The pressure of arriving, I remember asking myself over and over, when will I finally arrive? When will I feel like I belong? When will I be able to say, I've made it? And each time, the answer was silence, because life doesn't work that way. There isn't a single point where we cross a threshold and everything is complete. There isn't a final arrival where we can rest permanently and say, I am done. I am enough. The pressure to arrive can weigh heavily. It can make us feel behind, inadequate, or invisible. It can make us question whether our efforts are enough. But the truth is, you are enough. Right now, life has a series of arrivals instead of waiting for a final arrival. I've learned to see life differently. Each step forward is an arrival. Each small victory, each lesson learned, each act of courage is an arrival. And after each arrival comes a new beginning, a chance to stretch, grow, and dream again. This mindset doesn't minimize achievement, it magnifies it. It teaches gratitude for the journey instead of obsession with the destination. It reminds us that growth is a lifelong process. The journey of becoming. Look at your own life. The person you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, even last year. Compare them to today. You've already arrived at many points without even realizing it. Every lesson you've learned, every obstacle you've overcome, every quiet victory, these are your arrivals. And the beauty is, you are always in motion. You are always becoming. Your story is not defined by a single moment, a single accomplishment, or a single destination. It is defined by your courage to continue, your resilience through silence, your willingness to grow even when it feels slow. Reflection for the reader. Can you identify moments in your life that you've arrived at, even in small ways? How might your life feel if you released the pressure of a final destination? What would it mean to celebrate each step as its own arrival? Whisper to yourself tonight, I am enough. I have arrived at many moments in my journey. I am always becoming, and that is enough. My path is mine, and it unfolds at the perfect pace. Chapter 5. Sacred Pauses. A world that prizes constant motion. Pause can feel like rebellion. We are taught to push harder, go faster, and achieve more. Rest is often mistaken for weakness. Silence is mistaken for failure. But there is power in pausing. There is wisdom in stillness. There is clarity in moments when we stop, even just for a little while. The pause that heals our pause is not doing nothing. It is choosing to step back and breathe. It is giving yourself permission to stop striving, stop planning, stop answering the world for a moment. It is recognizing that your body, mind, and soul need space to recover, reflect, and realign. In these pauses, something miraculous happens. The noise around you softens. The clutter in your mind clears. The path forward begins to emerge. Quietly, gently. Pause is sacred because it creates space for your soul to speak. Why we resist pausing? Many of us resist stillness. We fear that stopping will make us fall behind. We worry that rest will mean we are weak. We feel guilt in taking time for ourselves when others depend on us. But resisting pause only prolongs exhaustion. It builds tension, steals joy, and dims our inner light. Making pauses intentionally sacred pause is not accidental. It is intentional. It can take many forms. Closing your laptop early and stepping outside, taking a day off without guilt, sitting in quiet meditation or prayer, writing your thoughts in a journal, without expectation, simply breathing, noticing your body, and being present. These pauses are not luxuries, they are necessities. They are the fuel that keeps your journey sustainable. Rest as resistance pausing is also an act of courage, especially for women, people of color, caregivers, or anyone who is constantly expected to give more than they have choosing. Rest is resistance. It is a statement. I will honor my life. I will honor my soul. I am not expendable. Sacred pauses remind us that we do not need to prove our worth through constant action. We are valuable simply because we exist. Reflection for the reader. In your life, could you intentionally pause this week? How would your body, mind, and soul feel if you allowed yourself a moment of stillness? What would it mean to treat rest not as weakness, but as sacred? Whisper to yourself tonight, I give myself permission to pause. I honor my body, mind, and soul. Rest is not weakness. It is strength. In stillness, I am renewed, and my path becomes clear. Chapter 6. When prayers feel dry, there are seasons when even prayer feels heavy. When words stumble in your mouth. When silence sits on your chest like a weight. When the prayers you've repeated for years feel empty, and the faith you once carried feels thin. This is not failure. This is not weakness. This is part of the journey. Even the strongest, most faithful among us experience seasons when their spiritual voice is muted. Understanding spiritual fatigue. Spiritual fatigue happens when the demands of life outweigh your inner energy. You have given so much to work, to family, to community, to your dreams that your soul is tired. You have prayed, hoped, and strived, and yet some outcomes remain unseen. You may feel abandoned, or unheard, or unsure if your prayers matter at all. And that is a difficult, lonely space. But it is also sacred, because it is in this space that honesty becomes possible. It is where you confront your doubts, your grief, and your deepest questions. It is where your faith can mature not through easy certainty, but through enduring the silence. Biblical and life lessons in dry seasons. Even the Bible is filled with examples of spiritual fatigue. Hannah, pouring out her soul in silent desperation, her prayers long unanswered. Elijah, fleeing in fear, exhausted, wondering if God had abandoned him. Job, who voiced anguish, frustration, and confusion while waiting for answers. Jesus in Gethsemane, praying in anguish, seeking strength for what lay ahead. Their prayers did not disappear. Their faith was not erased. Sometimes, God meets us in silence, in stillness, in the pause between words. When words fail, when you feel like you cannot pray, you can still connect. Sit in silence and breathe deeply, letting your heart speak in ways words cannot. Write your prayers, even if they feel inadequate. Speak honestly, even in fragments. Lean into scripture, meditation, or music that resonates with your soul. Your connection to the divine is not measured by eloquence or perfection. It is measured by presence, by showing up even when it is hard, by being willing to remain even when words fail. Reflection for the reader: have you ever felt spiritually dry? How did it feel in your body, mind, and soul? Could this season of dryness be a time for deeper listening rather than speaking? How can you show up for yourself and your faith, even without words? Whisper to yourself tonight: even when my words fail, my heart is heard. Even in silence, I am present. My faith is alive, even in dry seasons. I am held, I am guided, I am enough. Chapter 7. Let your soul speak. Sometimes words are not enough. Sometimes prayers feel heavy. Conversations fall flat, and even journaling feels empty. Sometimes the heart is full, but the voice is quiet. And that is when your soul begins to speak. Your soul communicates in its own language, through stillness, through tears, through art, through music, through breath, through the small acts of being fully present. Listening beyond words. When we are caught in the chaos of life, we tend to focus on external validation, external action, external answers. We think we must always express ourselves in clear, precise words. We think our worth depends on our ability to explain, to achieve, to articulate. But the soul doesn't always operate in words. It operates in feeling, in intuition, in subtle nudges and quiet wisdom. Your soul may speak when you sit in silence and notice what surfaces in your thoughts. Paint, draw, write, or create in ways that have no expected outcome. Walk in nature and allow your senses to guide you. Listen to music that stirs emotions you cannot name. Breathe intentionally and tune in to the rhythms of your body. The language of the soul. Your soul speaks in whispers. It speaks when your mind is too noisy to understand. It speaks when your heart is too heavy to carry alone. It speaks in dreams, in quiet insights, in the courage to keep going despite doubt. And sometimes, the most powerful messages from your soul are not the ones you will ever say aloud. They are: you are enough. You are still becoming. Your presence matters. Even in stillness, healing is happening, even when unseen. Practical ways to hear your soul: create intentional pauses in your day, even for 5 to 10 minutes, to sit quietly and reflect. Journal without judgment. Write whatever comes to mind, even fragments, questions, or emotions. Move your body, dance, stretch, or walk while focusing on what feels alive in you. Engage with creativity. Draw, paint, or craft without aiming for perfection. Notice your intuition. Pay attention to the small nudges that guide decisions or feelings. The more you practice listening, the clearer your soul's voice becomes. Reflection for the reader: when have you felt your soul speaking to you beyond words? How might you create space to hear it more clearly this week? What is your soul trying to tell you right now, if you pause to listen? Whisper to yourself tonight: even when I cannot find the words, my soul speaks. I listen. I trust. I allow myself to feel. I am present. I am enough. Chapter 8. Small steps still count. Progress is not always loud. It is rarely dramatic. It doesn't always come with applause, recognition, or validation. Sometimes it comes in whispers: a single decision, a quiet effort, a choice to keep going, despite doubt. And yet, these small steps are the ones that truly shape our lives. The power of incremental progress when life feels overwhelming. It's easy to look at the distance between where you are and where you want to be and feel despair. I'm so far behind. I'll never get there. I'm not enough. But what if you shifted your focus to the step right in front of you? What if you valued each small choice, each tiny action, as part of a bigger picture? Progress is cumulative. Every baby step, every quiet act of courage, every time you choose to show up even imperfectly matters. Real life examples. Think of the entrepreneurs who start with nothing but an idea and a vision. They may spend months, even years, in what looks like stagnation, no clients yet, no big wins, no recognition, but each small step making a call, sending an email, learning a skill, refining a process is a step forward. The same is true in life. Small acts of self-care build resilience. Small choices toward kindness shape character. Small decisions to rest, reflect, and listen create clarity. These steps are the foundation for every breakthrough. Why small steps matter? We often undervalue small steps because they are not immediate, visible, or dramatic, but small steps build consistency, create habits, strengthen confidence, pave the way for transformation that seems impossible in the moment. Even on days when it feels like you've done nothing, your effort is not wasted. Reflection. For the reader, what small steps have you taken recently that you haven't acknowledged? How might your journey change if you celebrated each tiny victory? Can you commit to one small, intentional step today, no matter how insignificant it feels? Whisper to yourself tonight, every step I take matters, no matter how small. I am moving forward, even when progress feels invisible. I am building a life of growth, resilience, and purpose. My small steps count, and so do I. Chapter 9, You Are Still Becoming. Life has a way of making us feel behind. We compare ourselves to others, measure our progress by someone else's milestones, and wonder why we haven't arrived yet. But here's the truth. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not failing. You are still becoming. Becoming is a lifelong journey. Becoming is not a destination. It is a process. It is the unfolding of your potential, the discovery of your strengths, the refinement of your character. Every experience you live, every joy, every heartbreak, every triumph, every setback is shaping you. Every choice you make, every step you take, every moment you pause and reflect it, is all part of the becoming. No single event, no single achievement defines you. You are a work in progress, beautifully unfinished, constantly evolving. The courage in becoming requires courage. Courage to face your doubts. Courage to continue when the path feels unclear. Courage to embrace your growth, even when it is slow, painful, or unseen. It also requires patience, especially with yourself, because growth cannot be rushed. Transformation cannot be forced. Life cannot be hurried. Each day is a step. Each moment is a lesson. Each breath is an opportunity to keep evolving. Let go of comparison. One of the greatest traps in life is measuring your journey against someone else's. Your path is unique. Your timing is perfect for you. The challenges you face are shaping you in ways no one else can understand. Comparison steals joy, confidence, and clarity. Embrace your own pace. Celebrate your own victories. Trust that you are exactly where you need to be in this season. Reflection for the reader. What areas of your life do you feel behind? How might your perspective change if you saw yourself as constantly becoming rather than falling short? What small steps today can you take to honor your growth and your journey? Whisper to yourself tonight, I am still becoming. Every experience, every challenge, every quiet moment is shaping me. I trust my journey, I honor my pace, and I embrace who I am becoming. I am enough, and I am on my way. Chapter 10. Healing in the quiet. Healing is rarely loud. It doesn't always come with fanfare, celebration, or recognition. It often arrives quietly, softly, like a gentle breeze after a storm. Sometimes healing begins not with words, not with action, but with stillness. The quiet that restores. We live in a world that prizes noise, constant movement, constant talking, constant proving. And yet, some of the deepest healing happens when we stop. When we pause, we allow our hearts to rest. We allow our minds to untangle the knots of worry and doubt. We allow our souls to breathe. The quiet is where we reconnect with ourselves, where we remember what matters, and where we gather strength to face what lies ahead. Letting the silence speak. Silence is not empty. It holds wisdom, insight, and renewal. It is in the quiet moments, late nights, solitary walks, slow mornings that clarity emerges. It is in silence that we can finally hear the whispers of our soul. You are enough, you are healing, you are allowed to rest, you are moving forward, even when it doesn't feel visible. Healing in the quiet is about listening to what your soul has been trying to tell you all along. Creating sacred spaces. Healing doesn't always require dramatic change. It often requires intention. Create spaces where quiet is honored. Set aside time each day to sit in stillness, free from distractions. Take a walk in nature and notice the life around you. Breathe deeply, slowly, and intentionally. Reflect in a journal, without judgment or expectation. Allow tears, laughter, or any emotion to flow without suppression. These sacred spaces are where renewal begins. Reflection for the reader. When was the last time you allowed yourself true silence? How might you create intentional quiet in your daily life this week? What messages do you think your soul is trying to share in these moments? Whisper to yourself tonight, I allow myself to rest. I allow myself to be quiet. Healing is happening within me, even when unseen. I trust the process. I honor my journey, and I welcome renewal in the quiet. Chapter 11. The strength in stillness. There is a strength that does not shout. It does not need validation, applause, or recognition. It is quiet, steady, unseen, yet undeniable. This is the strength found in stillness. The power of being present. Life often teaches us to chase success, chase approval, chase answers. We measure progress by how fast we move, how much we accomplish, how loud our victories are. But there is another kind of power, the power to simply be, to show up fully in the moment, to breathe deeply without distraction, to honor your feelings, your thoughts, your body, your soul. Stillness is not stagnation, it is preparation, it is grounding. It is the foundation upon which resilience and growth are built. Resilience in quiet moments. The world will not always notice your quiet victories. It may overlook your perseverance, your patience, your courage, but that does not diminish them. Resilience is built in the small moments. Choosing patience when you are frustrated, choosing presence when your mind races, choosing rest when the world demands action, choosing to listen to your inner voice when everything else is noisy. These choices are your strength. They are proof that you are still here, still moving, still becoming. Embracing your journey. Your story is not defined by grand gestures alone. It is defined by the moments you choose to keep going, even when unseen, by the small, consistent steps, by the pauses, the breath, the quiet reflection. You are enough not because of what you've done, but because of who you are becoming. You are resilient not because life has been easy, but because you have continued. You are strong not because your journey is over, but because you have learned to rest, reflect, and rise again. Reflection for the reader. How do you experience stillness in your life? In what ways have quiet, unseen actions built your strength? How can you honor your journey even when the world does not? Whisper to yourself tonight, I am strong in my stillness. I am resilient in my quiet moments. I honor my journey, my growth, and my becoming. Even in silence, I am powerful. I am enough. Closing words. The journey of life is not about arriving at a final destination. It is about showing up, even when tired. It is about listening, even when words fail. It is about trusting, even when the path is unclear. It is about becoming, even when unseen. And through it all, remember, your silence is sacred, your strength is quiet, your soul is speaking, and you are enough. Chapter 12. Tomorrow, the words returned there, is a quiet promise in every ending. Silence is temporary. Stillness is not forever. Tonight, your words may not come. Your prayers may feel heavy. Your heart may feel too tired to speak, and that is okay. The cycle of renewal life moves in seasons. Some are loud and full of action. Some are quiet and full of waiting. Silence is not the end. It is the pause between chapters, the breath before a new beginning, the space where strength gathers. Tomorrow, the words return. Tomorrow, clarity comes. Tomorrow, your heart may feel lighter, your voice stronger, your spirit ready to move again. Hope for the next season. Even in the deepest silence, there is hope. Hope that your efforts are not wasted. Hope that your growth continues even when unseen. Hope that life is still unfolding in your favor. You are not stuck. You are not finished. You are becoming, and in the quiet of tonight, you are still enough. Reflection for the reader. What small hope can you carry into tomorrow? How can you honor today's pause while preparing for the next season? What will you celebrate in yourself? When the words return, whisper to yourself tonight, I rest. My silence is sacred. Tomorrow my words will return, my strength will rise, and my spirit will run. I am enough, I am healing, and I trust the seasons of my life. Closing. Encouragement. Tomorrow maybe we'll rise. Tomorrow maybe we'll run. But tonight we rest. Conclusion. Peace in the pauses. Late again, midnight. I find myself in the same quiet living room, in the same chair that started this journey, and yet nothing feels the same, because everything has shifted inside me. Reflecting on the journey we began with silence, those moments when words fail, prayers feel heavy, and the world seems too loud. We learned that silence is not surrender. It is sacred. We explored the ache of strength, the weight of waiting, and the power of small steps. We discovered that life is not about arrival, but about becoming. We practiced stillness, listened to our souls, and allowed ourselves to rest. From silence, we found presence. From pause, we found clarity. From stillness, we found resilience. A final blessing as you close this book. Carry this with you. Your silence is sacred. Your pause is powerful. Your journey is unfolding perfectly, one step at a time. You are still becoming, and you are enough. Whisper to yourself, I honor my pause. I trust my journey. I embrace my becoming. Peace flows through me, and I am renewed. The midnight chair reminds us, It is okay to rest. It is okay to wait. It is okay to be. And when the words return, when the heart rises, when the spirit runs, you will be ready. Peace, Iabo Bello.